The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says 87 million permanent voters' cards have so far been collected ahead of tomorrow's election in Nigeria. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu disclosed this at the maiden briefing for the 2023 elections in Abuja on Thursday. A breakdown of the figure showed that Lagos leads in the number of collected PVCs with 6.2 million. This is closely followed by Kano with 5.5 million and Kaduna with 4.1 million. He noted that the current voter register has over 94 million voters, but stated that the commission will continue to clean it up with technology going forward. Meanwhile, as the distribution of electoral materials to various local governments across the country continues, INEC says it is ready to conduct tomorrow's election. Joining us now on the Morning Show from our Abuja studio to discuss INEC's preparations ahead of tomorrow's election is Victor Aluko, INEC Director of Voter Education and Publicity. Good morning, Mr. Aluko. Thank you very much for joining us on the Morning Show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, first about these figures. Before you joined us during the headline segment of the program today, Rufai Hosseini here had raised a question about the figure that INEC is touting, 87.2 million persons having collected, 87.2, right? 87.2 million.
Yeah, 87.2. 209,000.
Okay.
7 persons.
Yeah, we just
approximately 87.2.
We have it on the screen, so it's 7.2, more or less. Okay, so the question, therefore, is that will translate into about 93.6% collection rate. But the concern is, does that include all those persons who have protested, complained that they could not get their PVCs? Does that include those PVCs that were burnt in Ogun State and in Osun and elsewhere when there were attacks on INEC facilities? Does that include the PVCs that were found in the forest by a hunter who had gone to the forest to hunt for rabbit and antelopes, but ended up coming back home with bagloads of PVCs? So what exactly is that 87.2? Is it actual PVCs collected or just the number of persons who applied total and some of them probably did not get the PVCs?
Thank you. As released by INEC yesterday, the figure 87.2 million represents the PVCs that are actually in the hands of Nigerians. PVCs are either in the hands of the people, and if they are uncollected, they are in our offices. Now, the ones in the hands of Nigerians are 87,209,007. The ones that are in our custody that are uncollected are 6,259,229. So PVCs are either in 2 locations, in our offices or in the hands of the people. So the ones that are in our offices, that is the lower figure. And the big figure is the figure, that is the total number of PVCs that are in the hands of Nigerians.
Are you saying, Mr. Aluko?
And those are the people that, of course, will be able to vote. Are
you saying, Mr. Aluko, that all those PVCs that were found, some inside the bush, some inside the drainage channels, and the one that the hunter found in Inewi North, Authority FM in that state had been announcing and telling people to come and collect their PVCs. What INEC could not distribute, it was a radio station that was helping to distribute it in Anambra, having found these PVCs in the bush. How did the PVCs get to the bush in the first place?
The truth is, our PVCs are either in our offices or when they are collected at the hands of the people. We'll be seeing fantastic stories in the media. We'll be seeing all sorts of postings on the social media. And we believe that if anybody finds that, the person should report to the police. We believe that all those posting on social media, they're like fantasy and they're like distractions. And at this particular time, less than 24 hours to a general election, where INEC is already deploying. We're already deploying, and by tomorrow morning, by this time tomorrow morning, of course, all our polling units all over the country, 176,606 polling units will be up, will be on and functioning. So our minds are focused on opening up polling units tomorrow, and we don't want to be distracted by fantastic stories about PVCs discovered in forest by hunters that are supposed to be hunting antelopes and rabbits. Hunters should hunt the antelopes and let us have some peace.
Okay, Mr. Aluko, this is very important for Nigerians. In the same way that INEC wants to conduct a free, fair and credible election, and is focused on that, Nigerians also want to, exercise their franchise. They want to vote, and so saying that these stories are fantasies is a bit. It's a bit insensitive to many Nigerians who were unable to collect their PVCs. On a personal level, my husband and I registered at the same polling unit. I got mine. His wasn't found. It was escalated. Nothing was done about it. So it's a bit difficult to say that these stories are fantasies, because these are real concerns by real people. And these cards, we saw them, except when you're saying that they are fake or perhaps they were planted in the forest. But going away, in addition to that, I'd like to also speak about certain concerns around some parties saying that they were not on the ballot boxes. For instance, in Lagos, one of the party officials had mentioned that they omitted their party logo. And I'd like you to speak to this, because there's a bit of confusion around this, and Nigerians are asking, especially, of course, some of their party members, that what is really going on? Why are some party logos omitted from the ballot boxes, particularly in some certain electoral positions or positions up for elections? I'd like you to please respond to that.
Well, I personally am not aware of that there's any party logo that's omitted from any ballot paper. The ballot papers are not yet out. The ballot papers are serious, sensitive materials that will only be out tomorrow morning. So we've not received any report from the Lagos State Office of INEC about any incidents like that. The Resident Electoral Commissioner will have to, if the Resident Electoral Commissioner is aware of that, if he has already seen the ballot papers in advance, he will have to escalate it to the headquarters. And then it will have to be handled by our very, very, very top officials. I personally have not been informed that any logo of any party is missing on any particular ballot paper. Okay. But if such a thing happens, there are ways of dealing with them. The Resident Electoral Commissioner knows what to do, and will surely do the needful.
Okay, is it the same Resident Electoral Commissioner that a lot of people have tainted and said, you know what, we don't support his judgment on this election? And I'm talking about Mr. Agbaje, who gave him many petitions written as regards. In fact, I think Professor Patotomi was still here yesterday to speak as regards that. And for that report that Ayo cited, it is actually the Labour Party chairman in the states that pointed it out. So the Labour Party, state party chairman, that pointed it as how you want to look at it. So I'd like to ask you about the calls for the Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Agbaje, to be reposted, because people don't trust the process, with him. Secondly, the violation of, the stay by the courts, that says that MC Olomo should not be used and Lagos Parks and Garages should not be used to distribute these materials. What would you say about that? Because apparently, INEC is still in Lagos is saying they are going ahead with this, despite the stay in the court. And thirdly, I'd like to ask you, please, does INEC have a system where they verify that the INEC staff actually gave people their voter's card? Because in this Inewi case, what I've been able to deduce from what you've said now is the fact that most of these voters' cards thrown into the bush are recorded probably to have been collected already, but they are in the bush. So is there a verification step that the voters' cards were actually given to the people needed? And how will you reconcile that with the fact that most of Inewi North, where this voters' card were supposed to be, fall under the polling units that INEC said people will not be voting in when they release that list? How do we reconcile all of that, sir?
I think you need to back up your claims with facts. Please let us desist from stories that may not be factual. Like I said, we are less than 24 hours to a general election. Let us be factual in our claims. About the resident electoral commissioner in Lagos, if there are any calls for his reposting and any calls for his movement to another place, I think it's the headquarters of INEC that posted him. The commission posted him, and I don't think the commission has found any reason to find him wanting in the discharge of his duties. So please, we need to allow the Lagos State Office of INEC to work. I believe they are focused on their job to be able to perform as they are expected to perform. And of course, the commission is monitoring events in Lagos, and we believe that the elections in Lagos will be free and fair. And we know the issues in Lagos. We know the population in Lagos. We know the level of competition in Lagos. And of course, competition is good for our democracy. We have told Nigerians that we will conduct clean elections that are free and fair, elections that are credible, and that's our focus. We assure all Nigerians in Lagos that the elections in Lagos will be free and fair, the elections in Lagos will be credible. The important thing is for voters to please go to the polls tomorrow morning in Lagos, and you will be attended to cautiously, you'll be attended to quickly, and you'll be able to vote for whoever you want to vote for. About the issue of PVCs that must have been collected by people that are now found in places. Once PVCs are collected from our offices, it's for the people who collected them to keep them safely. We do a lot of voter education, asking people to collect their PVCs. We also tell them to keep their PVCs safely. If anybody collected his PVC and goes to put it somewhere else, I don't think that is a problem for us in INEC. Because if anybody collects PVC and decides to go and drop his PVC anywhere or gives anybody his PVC, here's our PVC, then that person may not be able to vote on election day. We ask people to make good choices in terms of participation in the electoral process.
Okay, with due respect, sir, we don't give false information, we don't peddle falsehood. And I'm going to give you the facts and the empirical facts here. Part of the list that was released by INEC of polling units where votes will not take place because people were not there. In Anambra State, in Dimili North, Unewi North, Otolo 1, Unewi North, Udimia 1, Unewi North, Udimia 2, Unewi North, Uragu 2, Unewi North, Uragu 2. This is at Ezena Progressive Hall, Obiodogu Hall 2, Obiinjifo Hall 2, Obiozema Hall. So all of these polling units, and these are the facts I'm giving to you, sir, for the same Unewi North, that these those polling. Hang on a minute. You
can review on live television.
Hang on a minute, sir.
Hello?
This was a list that was released by INEC as published in Punch newspaper. This was a list as released by INEC that was published in Punch newspaper. You can go check it for verification. Secondly, all of these parts are Unewi North, and it is the same Unewi North that we found these facts of these PVCs.
Will you let me explain, please?
Yes, sir.
Will you let? INEC is not on trial here. This is live television. What I'm saying is that if anybody has facts that are quite, records that are very factual, the important thing is to present them to INEC. These are not things that can be reviewed and taken care of on live television. And INEC is not on trial. What I'm saying is if anybody finds such a thing, the important thing is to report them to the authorities. That's the thing.
Okay, Mr.
Report them to the authorities, and these things will be dealt with as they should be dealt with.
Mr. Aluko.
They will be dealt with as they should be dealt with.
Mr. Aluko, two quick things.
That's the procedure.
Mr. Aluko, two quick things. When Professor Yakubu Mamu spoke at Chatham House, when he was talking about insecurity, he talked about two tools, technological tools, apps, that INEC will be deploying prior to the elections to track and monitor election violence. Now, how does that work? Because even ahead of the elections, we have had reports of violence from Enugu, from Kano, as recently as yesterday. And I think those two tools are called EVMAT, and then the other one is ERM. So if you could shed light on that. Two, BVAS and IREV had been used previously in off-cycle elections. But those off-cycle elections are isolated cases. Now we have general election in over 176,000 polling units in 774 local governments. How prepared is INEC with regard to BVAS and IREF?
Yeah, there are two things now. You talked about the issue of election security and the issue of the BVAS machine itself. Now, about the issue of election security, of course, we have what we call election monitoring and support system. And those two tools you refer to are part of our monitoring processes for us to be able to know where violence is happening, so that we'll be able to allow the police, allow the security agencies, because it is the security agencies led by the police that deal with the issues of security. We INEC officials, INEC materials, voters, journalists, observers, we all need security on election day. Our offices need security on election day. And so we have processes to know what's happening everywhere. And so we notify the security agencies so that they can immediately take action wherever action needs to be taken. And of course, I believe the security agencies too, they also have their own monitoring mechanisms, and they will be deploying all this on election day. I want to assure Nigerians that the security agencies have assured us that they will do everything possible to protect Nigerians, do everything possible to protect all voters, protect us, and protect our materials, and that elections will be free in every locality. And we have no doubt, we have no reason to doubt the security agencies. Their own election monitoring and support systems, EMS, and will enable us to monitor everything that is happening. Not only security, even the voting itself, the performance of every official, and even the performance of other stakeholders, so that whoever we need to reach out to, we will reach out to them as fast as possible. About the issue of BVAS, of course, we've deployed our BVAS. They are all in all our areas now, ready for deployment tomorrow, ready for further deployment tomorrow morning, ready for configuration and deployment tomorrow morning. We expect the BVAS to function optimally. We have tested and tested and tested. We had mock accreditation some time ago, where we were able to test the BVAS in all geographical locations in the country, in various terrains, in various weathers. And we believe that we have a firm grip on the BVAS, and that the BVAS will allow us to once and for all stamp out multiple voting, stamp out voter impersonation and identity theft in our country, and make our election process one man, one vote, as is done in other democracies in the world.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Victor Ayo Aluko, Director of Voter Education and Publicity, INEC.